The Icons of Real Estate podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week with your host, Tomasz Fonseca, and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business. From $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters in Real Estate Marketing, Arter SEO.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Icons of Real Estate podcast. I am Luis, your host, and today we have a very special guest, Yaakov, who's one of the top realtors in Florida, and he's going to let us know how he has achieved around 70 transactions in the last 2 years. So he's doing way more than the average realtor, and he's going to let us know about his story. So how are you today, Yaakov?
Good. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being here.
You're welcome. Can you start telling us how did you start into this business?
Yeah, so in 2014, which is about 10 years ago, September, I took my real estate license in New York. And I started as a full-time realtor, but right away I kind of gave it up and became a part-time realtor. Because like a lot of realtors are afraid, like, where am I going to have money to live? So I had the same fear. And I right away jumped into another thing. And that led me not to be so successful in the beginning because I didn't have much time. And then I started doing my own fix and flip because I started utilizing my real estate license. However, things took a turn right before COVID. I started becoming more busy. And then COVID came out to take off all my listings from the market. But right afterwards, everybody knows what happened. The market went crazy. And I actually started selling real estate just off my signs. During COVID, all my listings were off the market, but I kept my signs on the roads and people started calling me and I started selling real estate. And then in 2 years ago, actually it's now 3 years, it just become 3 years, I moved down to Florida and I started fresh. Nobody knew me over here. I knew maybe a handful of people in my area. And when you start fresh, it's a good opportunity. Nobody knows you and nobody knows how crazy you are. So you kind of can do whatever you want because nobody knows. So my success mainly was I started going door knocking. I did a lot of door knocking, especially in areas where people told me, like, don't go to that area. Like, don't go over there by yourself or don't go over there, general. But I went around, I did door knocking. My first few months, probably knocked on 500-600 doors.
Wow.
I had a small booklet and it said like my logo and it said, thinking of moving, start planning and just writing down your things. And that's what I gave out. And I told people, like, I'm a new realtor, but you're going to start seeing my marketing. And so I want you to see my face before you see my marketing, so you know who I am. And I gave it out. And then was a big building purchased, office building purchased in the area, 12-story building, offices, and then a couple of side strips, 2 other buildings. And they were looking for a realtor, somebody to do their leases for all the offices. And they started asking people in the community, and people told them, hey, that guy, he's crazy. He goes door knocking and he goes above and beyond. They called me in for an interview. And they told me your office is going to be across the management's office and you're hired. So I am now in charge of a 12-story building plus as like the side stores and everything. And I do all the leases for them.
Wow.
And now in the building alone, it's a big building. So I make sure everybody knows I'm a realtor. And I only do like residential and offices. So if people need to move, like my farm is now my building. So I still do door knocking. Every Thursday, I still do door knocking, whether if I have an open house or if I have a new listing on the market. Every Thursday in the mornings, I do door knocking.
Could you explain us the process of door knocking for you?
Sure. So I started door knocking in June and July, August in Florida. And I don't think it could be anything worse than doing door knocking in those months in Florida. But if you go on my Google page, you can see reviews, people who used me, and some people wrote under review they saw me door knocking in those months and they figured they're going to give me a shot. And thankfully, it was a successful transaction. But, as I said, I go around door knocking and I tell people in the beginning, I said, you're going to see me. So I just wanted to introduce myself. You're going to see my marketing. But now I go around, either I invite people to open house or put up a house on the market. I do that area. So I do at least 250 doors. When I go door knocking, I give out flyers about the house. Or when I do a closing in that area, I go around telling people like, hey, that house closed for X amount. In case you're wondering, this is the price that goes in this area. And, I got a couple listings from it. I mean, a nice amount listings and even stuff off market. People like, you know what, I might be willing to sell my house, but I don't want to put it on the market. And I'm like, okay, I have people who are looking. So I did deals off market too, because I have clients, people always looking. And so not everybody wants to put their house on the market. I understand the fear. I had a client that I sold a house and she went to work and she had a coworker who kind of like harassed her. Like, I see your pictures online. I see what color bathroom you have. So I understand the uncomfortability of it. And if somebody wants to list off market, again, it's limited. When you list something off market, it's very limited. I tell people like, I have over 1,000 people in my database, but I can't show it to 100,000 people. I can only show it to my database. So it's very, very small. But if I have somebody, if it's the right fit and it goes off market, good for them. I have now a listing that's supposed to close this week. Actually, it's completely off market.
Wow. Very nice, very nice. And can you share a particularly memorable success story from your career?
So there's a lot of success stories. As I said, I have success stories just from the sign and success stories just from, like my farm. I've been helping people, but I had a success story. I listed a house and actually didn't go. Like, not every house you list it goes. But from that house, a neighbor called me that they're willing to list and they're willing to sell off market. And if I have somebody. So I took a client to my listing and I showed them the house. They did an inspection and they didn't like it as much. So I'm like, look, let's go to the neighbor. They told me they want to sell. Let's see if you like their house. I took them in. They like it. Went on the contract, did the inspection. 45 days later, they closed. So it's a nice successful story. It wasn't, we didn't, not every client, you just go around showing 50 houses before they make a decision.
Yeah, that is correct. And how do you stay updated with the last trends and changes into the real estate market in Florida?
So with the changes you're talking about, the NRA, all the commission splits?
Well, could be commissions, could be pricing.
So the pricing is, in South Florida, everybody likes to read the bad news because that's what keeps the world going. When the newspaper puts out a headline, it's not going to be kids are going back to school today. It's going to be something negative. And that's what keeps people engaged. So people read that the Florida market is coming to a crash, people are moving out, or there's too much inventory. It's true and it's not true. You have to break it down. Condos, there's a lot of condos. I don't do much condos because I'm not a fan of dealing with associations unless if I have to. Single family houses, there's still a big demand for it. Right now, if there's no new houses coming on the market, the supply is going to last maybe 30 days. In Miami, they're not building new single family houses. So people have to understand it. Now, I'm more of a guy that likes to downplay things and more than making like a whole war zone. Like it's not that bad. The market is going. I just bumped in last Thursday when I did door knocking. I bumped into somebody and he's like, it's the worst time to sell because you can't buy anything. And I'm like, no, it's not. If you buy with cash, it's the best time to buy. So it all depends. Everybody has different reasons why they want to sell or why they want to buy.
Okay. So you're always trying to keep positive.
Yeah, positive and downplay what people tell you. Like, there's always going to be people like coming across from you like, hey, it's the worst market. Hey, they took away the buyer's commission. No, they did not. Let's break it down. Who paid the buyer's commission till now? Everybody's like, the seller did. But what if the seller accepted the buyer's offer, which was less than the asking price? Now the realtors got less commission. So who really paid the commission? You can look at it both ways. So I like to kind of downplay it more than just go out there. There's people on YouTube and then just like trashing realtors or the market's going to crash and nobody's going to use buyer's agent anymore. No, it's not. People who wanted to be cheap did for sale by owner still now too. It's not a new thing.
All right. And how do you approach pricing a property for sale to ensure it sells for a highest possible value?
So I do my comps. RPR is a great tool if it's updated. And a lot of times you have to check with the city, see if the person put in an extra bathroom in the house. You have to make sure that it's updated correctly with the city to get the right price. And if it's not updated, you don't want to list it that way because then it will cause a violation for them. Especially over here in Florida, where the cities they sit on Zillow and they monitor everything what's going on.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be that type of agent also. So I try to do the comparables, try to do what was sold in the area for the approximately the same house and in the last year and tell them. And it all depends how your house looks and it depends how fast you want to sell. If you want to sell in April because you want to buy something in September, you want to move in by September, you're gonna have to be a little bit lower. And if you want to sell in the middle of the winter, you could be a little bit higher, but it's going to take a little bit longer sitting on the market. So it all depends on the seller, how they want to sell. They want to get rid of the house or they just want to hold on, just try to, see if they get somebody for their price. But for me, when I do take a listing, when a listing goes active on the market, it needs to be set in open house. And then if there's no offers or no showings within 30 days, has to be a price reduction. Because
All right. And what is your process for helping buyers find their ideal home, especially in this competitive market?
So first we sit down with a buyer, whether we do a Zoom call or we meet in person, and try to figure out exactly what they're looking for. And then we get them to get pre-approved to make sure that they can afford what they're looking for. And once they are established those things, like they know what they can afford and what's in their budget, then we go out for a shopping spree. But I send them a lot of houses online, try to get the right ones, like try to see what they like. And then once we get what they like, typically I would show like 5 to 8 houses before, and then they'll make a decision. I always
All
tell
right.
people you're never gonna find something that's 100% perfect for you. It's just not out there.
Okay. And what technology are you using? Are you using a CRM or is your brokerage giving you some tools?
My brokerage is giving me a CRM, but I don't use that. I use my own CRM. I use Follow Up Boss. I really like it. I enjoy it. Kind of keeps track on everything if you use it correctly. Took me a while to get used to it and make the most use out of it. And I have a lot of side companies that work with them, like Real Scott and Key Knowledge, kind of like puts your advertisement in front of your clients. So it keeps them engaged with what you do. So again, I'm not going to say new realtors should jump into all this financial expenses, but somebody who's been doing it for a while, it's definitely worth it. You got to be on top of the game and people should see you all over. You got to build your brand. And the more you build it, more people are going to know about it.
Nice, nice. I can see you're the top 1% of realtors, Jacob, and actually you have a lot of experience. You know what to do. Are you currently coaching or training or recruiting people for your brokerage?
I am currently recruiting and coaching, but I usually only coach the people on my team. I am a coach with my brokerage. I'm with EXP, but I try to stick only to the people on my team. I don't have a big team. So far, I only have a small team, but I like it. I could be more on top of my agents and make sure they do the right thing and help them through the process.
Awesome, awesome. And just so you know, some of our audience are also realtors who are trying to get into the business and they don't know how to do it. So what advice would you give to them?
If you're getting into the business, make sure you have money put away for at least like 6 months to a year so you can survive and try to live on a minimum budget, even if you have the first deal like within a week. But it's going to take at least a year, 6 months minimum till it really kicks off. And you got to live on a budget as a realtor because you don't know if the next deal is going to close or not. So don't take the first $20,000 and spend it in a day. Hang on to it, and that's basically it.
All right, perfect, perfect. All right, Jacob, it was such a pleasure to have you here at Icons of Real Estate. You have a lot of experience to share, and this is what we need here on our channel, actually.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. See you and thank you.